Adrian, what's up,
What's
sir?
going
How
on,
are you?
brother? Pretty good. Pretty good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man, good to see you. And we connected, man, just not too long ago, and got you into the Military Investor Network. And you've already just engaged a ton in the Military Investor Network. You've already started inviting others into the community. And so I wanted to start highlighting the members, the investors, the business owners. And so we're starting with you. How's that sound?
I love it. I mean, hey, a great opportunity. Definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, let's just start with kind of your background. Can you give us just a little bit about who you are, where you grew up, and then what you got into?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm originally from Arizona and married, four beautiful kids, one boy, three girls. The oldest is 25, the youngest is 12 years old. So that's the span of them.
Nice.
Joined the military after, not necessarily right after high school, but basically I went to college. I did about 2 years. I went to a vocational school, got my computer tech specialist and everything. And I realized quickly that after you got your skill set and you go out to the workforce, I wasn't able to get a job because I lacked the number one thing that they all look for, experience. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, what do I do? I actually went ahead and without any military background, without any type of experience or families in the military. I just saw a commercial. I ended up going to the recruiting office. I looked at all the branches. Marines almost got me for sure, but I ended up joining the United States Army. I think at 19 years old, I was I knew I wanted to do something bigger than myself and just wanted to be able to provide for my family. I got married at a very young age. So when I went into recruiting, I didn't know what to expect. I just know that I had some type of education under my belt. So the recruiter asked me, "Yeah, what do I want to do?" And I basically told him, I don't know. But what I did know is that I want to be 40 years old, look back in life, and be able to say, I've been there, done that. And I told him, whatever job you have that could get me there. That's what I want to do. And he's like, what do you want? What about infantry? Do you know about anything about infantry? I'm like, no, I don't know what infantry was. And then they showed me a video of guys kicking down doors, shooting, blowing up stuff. So I'm like, yep, sign me up. So I've been in
So,
the infantry for 20 years. I did the whole military career, combat infantry, deployed three times, twice to Afghanistan, once in Iraq, and basically traveled all over the world. I was overseas. I was here all throughout the United States, and it's just been such a great blessing to be able to look back now in life and the positions I've held, to be able to say I've been there, done that. So it's pretty cool.
yeah, man, that's awesome. You said you deployed to Afghanistan
I
and
did.
Iraq.
Iraq and Afghanistan. I was deployed. My first deployment was in Afghanistan from 04 to 05. That was a 15-month deployment.
Oof.
I was with LRST, Long Range Surveillance Detachment. I was a Ranger Battalion, and it was a great opportunity for recon and some good stuff that we did in Afghanistan. I got back in '05. I was only back for 4 months, and then I redeployed with the sniper section with Fort Carson, into Iraq, and that was a blessing. That was a different whole dynamic. We went from you know, extreme terrain to urban environment. It was
Yeah.
just like a whole thing. I was there for 13 months and then we got back and then I redeployed in 2010, 2011 to Afghanistan as platoon sergeant.
Nice. And so you did 20 years, retired. When did you retire?
I retired, I finalized out in 2021.
Okay.
So that's when I found out and everything, hung up the hat, and it was a true blessing.
Yeah. And so what how was that transition like? How was the transition out of the army, 20 years of service, into civilian life? And kind of what did you choose to do after getting out?
No, I appreciate the question. The transition it wasn't as challenging as I've heard other mentors, soldiers that who've transitioned out. For me, it was a little bit more a smooth transition in this aspect that I plan my transition out. This is something right now, currently, I'm in real estate, and I knew, and I made a promise to my kids after my last deployment that I won't deploy again.
Okay.
I'll do everything I can to not deploy. So my last few years of the Army was in recruiting. and recruiting for the Denver Recruiting Battalion here in Denver. And I
Nice.
chose Denver because I was stationed in Fort Carson and I just fell in love with Colorado. So I'm like, I want to do everything I can to retire out of here. And I retired as a first sergeant here in Denver and just really had a blessing. And so that transition, I knew I wanted to go ahead and get into real estate a long time ago. And I just knew that I had to get and put the building blocks in motion to be able to set me up for an easy transition. So the transition aspects of from going military career to real estate was a pretty smooth one because I've always had in my mind that I never want to work for another large corporation. I didn't want to put my career in somebody else's hands. So I had the fortitude and the discipline to be able to say, hey, I'm going to do it for my own. I trusted myself, with our discipline, accountability. We have that mission first mindset that, hey, we're going to go ahead. I knew how to lead soldiers. I know how to build teams. So all that experience of leadership that I was able to gain, I was very confident that I was going to be able to transition pretty smoothly. Um, However, when it comes down to the career choice, it's in our military as we relocate. I think it's an easy transition to be able to go into this type of service that we do for an industry for real estate, just because we relocate every 2 to 3 years. We're always going, we're always moving around.
Right.
So I feel like the adaptability to adapt and overcome to new locations, I think that's something that was really enticing, and I really saw that it could be a win-win situation where not only I love serving my country and I love serving my soldiers. And I always had that mentality. You take care of the soldiers, they take care of the mission. So that same mentality transitioning into real estate is the same, that servitude to serve our clients, to be able to have their back, to be able to have that mentality like I'm still taking care of people and that feeling that because I love people in general, that feeling like, hey, you got a soldier watching your back with us. And I always love that servitude. I always love helping people because I do love people.
That's great, man. Yeah, it's I've found a lot of people, transitioning from the military into kind of the entrepreneur world, starting your own business, and that's what a lot of the members of the Military Investor Network are all about is leaving service and then trying to find other types of service they can go into without having to go into, corporate America. And there's nothing wrong with corporate America, but
Right.
I think there is something to be said about military transition now to start their own business, own their own business, start investing and then, help in that aspect of things. What else did you think? You mentioned some stuff about leadership, but what else do you think lessons learned from the military days has helped you with that, transfer into running your own real estate company?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like the training mentality, if you really think about our structure and our discipline, the way we adapt, the way we train, the way we rehearse, the crawl, walk, run phase, everything is so structured, right? I
Right.
mean, it's engraved in us from basic training. And what I've noticed, what I was been able to do, and this is something that I highly encourage any veteran out there to just take a tactical pause in what you're doing and think about it and put, if you're transitioning into the civilian world, put everything into military dialogue, like how you did things in the military, because that's
Yeah.
what I did. And one of our things in the Army, the way we train, we have the three domains, training domains, which is operational, institutional, and self-development. So if you think about those institutional, I'm like, okay, well, how do I develop myself in transition? Well, I need to get my education, right? Institutional. I got to find my licenses, my certifications, whatever the case, and I start putting a plan together based off of that. Then I started doing the operational, hands-on, go out there, try it. And then self-development, what worked, what didn't work, what can I do to fix it, or do I need additional education? Because everything is so intertwined. So
Right.
when I was able to structure that into the civilian world, it really provided the pathway to where I'm at now, because I was able to do that and really expedited my experience, my skills in real estate because of it. I've been in real estate now going on, I got my license in 2019. So it was that now going on almost 7 years that I've had my license. And to be able to go from a large corporate where I got, as I was transitioning, I was with Coldwell Banker. And then opened up my own brokerage firm now because we focus on multiple things. that transition, it was because of the structure of the army, the military that was able to gain. So yeah, it was really that was one of the biggest things that helped me form SB agency is the training structure. Another one is the understanding that as a military person, you we are such a unique species. When you think about it, less than 1% of the population serve our country. And if you really dig deep in that and you say, wow, less than 1% of our nation serve, what does that say about our character? What does that say about us as veterans? And sometimes I feel like veterans, you suck it up, you drive on. If you're down, you're hurting, hey, you know what, you don't want to be called out on formation. You just keep on that struggle, that push, that grit, that like just grinding it out. In the civilian sector, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but not to the level of a military veteran. And I think sometimes we don't give credit to ourselves enough to say, "Hey, I got this. This isn't hard. Hey, if it gets challenging, I'll quit tomorrow. I'll just continue on quitting tomorrow." And then at that point, it just pushes you, and then finally you're gonna get a breakthrough. And it's just that drive, that love of like, I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna push.
I love
So.
that, man. That's so good. Well, and you're not just doing like single family residential in Denver, Colorado. Like you're doing a whole lot more. So talk about, what you're doing now, what SB agency is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So we focus on residential, commercial, and international. And if you really think about that, and this is for anybody that's looking into either getting into the field or thinking about investing, the way I structured it and what I learned from this industry, from this career field, is that the majority of agents or individuals that getting into whether it's residential or commercial, really you focus locally first. You go in, you get to go ahead and just stay where you're at, where you're comfortable. And then you start, if it's being successful, then you start like, okay, well then I want to broaden it. I want to start looking at a larger space, start getting a little bit more. And then to a point where you think about globally. Well, the way we structured it is I started with the big vision and then basically start, okay, where do I fit in all this? And the reason I structure that is when you think about residential, commercial, there's so many avenues you could take, and there's so many opportunities. And it's easy to say, well, let's just pick one and just stick to that one and be the subject matter expert of that one. But if I was 20 years old, maybe that's the way I would do it. But with us trying to grow it, I need to be able to be in the forefront. And because of my experience in the military, I'm not afraid to venture on, take a lot in because I've been international. A lot of people don't do international. We traveled. So I have a good understanding about the international aspect, different cultures, different opportunities. Commercial, as veterans, as you know, we all want to, if we're able to be in corporate America or we want to open our own business, a lot of the entrepreneurs out there are a lot of veterans out there that's owning their business. So if I think about commercial, that gives another opportunity. And the residential is really where I feel if I backwards planned everything, that's the residential is where we created. Well, that's where I started out first
Yeah.
because I knew residential. Like if Stu, if you trust me to put you and your family into a good home, that's safe environment, that's going to be profitable, that I'm not just another person trying to make a quick buck, that I really take care of you. And if you have a business, you're going to want me to do the same thing for your business.
Mm.
So that residential is your sphere where you're going to gain a lot of our sphere is from the residential that then we help them into commercial and then we start helping them international. So if you think about it, it's a roadblock. It's the military, the process. And it's really like you trust us with your home, you trust us with your business. Now you're going to help. We're going to help you, and you're going to help us with your wealth internationally because there's a niche for that, and a lot of people don't know about the international side of things.
Yeah, man. I was, when we first met, I was super interested in hearing more about learning from you on the resident or on the international space. And you've posted some stuff in the Military Investor Network in the forums about the international stuff. And I know you're going to speak on it and teach on it in one of our classes coming up in the future. I'm really excited about that. So it's always been something interesting to me. Same, like I've traveled and I've always thought about, man, this would be cool to like own some property here, right? Like in Mexico or Costa Rica or, over in Europe somewhere. So I know you're going to teach on that. And so if anyone's interested in that, you got to become a member to join and learn from Adrian. So investments, I know you've done some of your own investing. What's the best investment that you've ever made? And it doesn't have to necessarily be like money for money. Like what, just in general, what do you think is the best investment that you've made for yourself?
Honestly, I have properties. I've done investments out there, but this is going to be cliched and everything. But the reality is the best investment I've made is myself and my network.
Love
I
that.
mean, bro, education, mentorship, and who you surround yourself with the right people have opened up many of doors. My family, my wife, your support system. I mean, that's like you're investing in yourself, and that right there is priceless. And I've there's been times where my wife and I, as a team, because she's actually a co-founder of SB she's a real estate agent as well. She was in the hospitality industry, so we partner up as a husband and wife duo to do this. And she does the back end, and I do the front end. And really, when we sit down and we start thinking about, like, man, the cost is going to cost me to do this certification, or the cost is going to take me away from my family, or like just being involved with networking, being involved in committees, all that effort, the time and everything. That's the best investment that I've done because it paid dividends, because it's providing a pathway for me to support my family and to be able to go ahead and have the lifestyle that we live, and to be able to be there with my kids and being watching them grow. So really the best investment has been myself,
Love
and
that.
everything. So I think a lot of people out there, Stu, and that's a great question. I come across. I just came back from in March. I came back from a international event. It's called MIPIM, and it's held in Cannes, France. And it's a large global. I mean, I felt like I was like this little
Yeah.
tadpole, this big fish, and these are people talking about billions, and they're like, oh, 100 million here, 100 million there, and I'm like, okay, like, can I help you on just one?
That's
Uh,
right.
it's such a it was so overwhelming, but it was so intimidating. But if I wouldn't have done it, I don't have the connections. And I think that sometimes you have to take the leap of faith and trust in yourself, trust in the skills. And I think a lot of people that I've run into this industry are afraid of the fear of the unknown.
Mm,
And they feel like I'm afraid to invest in my time and my money because I don't know how that's going to pan out. And you just got to have trust in yourself, to be honest with you.
yeah, man, I love that. What about your worst investment? I know you got some bad investments out there in the
Oh
world.
man, I did. Do you know, I think if you look at your age grab, right, from when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, I think you do a bad investment here, but you're doing a bad investment here. You're learning as you go, right? I think
Yeah.
the worst investment I think I've done, but see, I say it's worse, but it's a blessing in disguise,
Yeah.
because we never know why we go through the things, right? But then you learn it, and then when you look back, it's like, oh shit, if it wasn't for this, God works in mysterious
It's a
ways,
great
right?
mindset, man.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's a blessing. In my 20s, my mom, I wanted to buy a house. So I bought my house. I was at 25. I want to say I was around 25, 26 years old. And that was my first house. And I was so adamant. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to do this. I got the VA loan. I don't know. I just know zero down, get me into a house. I don't care. And my mom was like, no, 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 don't do it. Just rent. Why are you doing that? That's too much debt. And I didn't do any research. I was a young 20 kid. Hey, I got a freaking VA. I don't care. So
Yeah.
I bought. And then next thing
I'm
you know,
impressed you knew about the VA when you were that young. Like I didn't know about the VA loan when I was that young.
well, you know what?
Like
I
good on
mean,
you.
yeah, no. Well, I learned it because it was something that was said, but it was the realtor that I worked with was like, yeah, we could go ahead and use your VA, zero down. I'm like, cool, make it happen. And I bought it, right? And then 8 months later, the crash happened,
Mm.
2008. And I was like, oh, well, I got my BAH. I don't care. It's not affecting me. I was very ignorant in the
Yeah.
whole industry. So I saw houses going up for say foreclosures, foreclosure, foreclosure. And I'm like, my BAH still pays for it.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't until I realized, like, shit, I bought it for I want to say it was $180,000. That's what my house was at the time.
Where was
And
that?
it was in Arizona.
Okay.
And Arizona got hit big. And I actually ended up selling it in 2012, in 2000, in 2012 for 75,000. So
Dang.
if you think I did a short sale,
Yeah.
but the crazy thing is that I was making payments on it, but what I've learned from that mistake is that at that time, if you owe more than 50% on your property than what it's worth, the value, then you should just get rid of it. And then, because it's going to take you that much longer, that much time for it to go back up, 10
Mm.
years, whatever the case. So I learned that and I got rid of it. I sold it for 75. But good thing with the VA backed me up. I didn't get any, didn't take any hits or anything like that because it's such a great program. So that was in my 20s, but in my 30s, I want to say you get in the hype of stocks and you get, I remember back when I was 20, people were talking about crypto. And I was like, nah, I don't, at that time, I think I was just a sergeant. And I was like, I don't got money to go ahead and invest in crypto, man. I want to get my house. And boy, that kicks my butt, right? I mean, like hindsight. But in my 30s, I invested um in some stocks that I'm like, okay, I'm going all in. And I put all my eggs in one basket. And
Yikes.
holy crap, no, it's a lesson learned and to
Yeah.
diversify yourself and grow. So there's some worse investments that I've done in stocks and in real estate, which you learn into it. So,
Uh,
but those have been my worst
but
investment.
I love your mindset though about it. It's not really necessarily a failure. It's just a lesson, right? And you grow from it and you get better for it. So I think it's a good way to look at it. So
And that's the
what?
military, right, bro? I mean, hey,
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why we do the crawl face, right? You go through it, you work out the kinks, and you do the walk face, and then finally, it's going to click as
Yeah.
long as you learn from it. If you're not learning and you're still doing, you're screwing yourself.
Yes.
You know?
Um, Last couple questions before we
Yeah.
jump off here. So, what would you if you were to go back, like all these lessons learned, your growth in the military, and then kind of starting your own business? What would you go back and tell your 20-year-old self?
You and I pause because that question, what would I? There's so much that you want to tell yourself, and I think I'm living this through my son because he is 25, so I'm
Okay.
giving it to him, right? I'm telling him, don't do this, don't do that. So,
Nice.
I have a true blessing with my son. He's in this industry and he's 25. So what I tell him is basically, if I had the opportunity to go back and tell myself, and this is something that I tell my son, is like focus gaining knowledge,
Mm,
applying it, and stay consistent. Like if you could gain your knowledge, get the skill set, apply it, and then be consistent, that's going to be that you're perfecting a craft there. And
yeah.
then building relationships intentionally, and going out there and just understanding that the most important understanding that basically success is a marathon, not a sprint. You got to be patient. And you got to be patient with the process. Um, and relentless with the effort. You just gotta be able to stay focused. I think I've struggled a lot because I was young. I was already married. I had kids. I was, struggling. My credit was bad. I mean, everything was, the whole world was on me. And, you're trying to stay afloat. You're
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. And at a young age, you think the world is all just coming down, not knowing that tomorrow is another day and things could change. And if you just go ahead and just think clearly, cut out all the noise, and just really just focus, what do I need to get done? And once you start applying that knowledge and start applying that and stay consistent, it's going to break through. Yeah, I think that's one thing because I struggled through addiction in the sense of I was a gambler in the military. I think with my gambling habits, very addicted to that. I did a lot of stupid mistakes, and I feel like I never had somebody really sit down with me and guide me or explain the process of how to be successful. It was
Yeah,
all trial and error. So now I feel like if I could go back, that's one thing I would tell them is like, hey, stay focused, gain the knowledge, apply it, stay consistent, be patient with the process, but relentless with the effort. You
love
know,
it, man. What does Solomon pray for? We pray for wisdom.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
good. And yeah, I mean, I truly believe that, we've heard the saying, your network is your net worth. I truly believe that that's the case. Just, surround yourself with other like-minded individuals that are going to push you to grow and just gain knowledge through that. And that's the goal of Military Investor Network, right? Is to surround ourselves with like-minded individuals that can help each other and push each other and educate each other and grow in that. It's good stuff, man.
No,
Well, last
100%.
yeah,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
last question for you. What would you ask of the other, investors, of the other members of the Military Investor Network? What do you need most right now? What do you need most in your business or in your personal life? What do you need help with? And then end with, where can people find out more about you? Website, social media. Give us the goods.
No, I appreciate that. So, I mean, with the membership, that is one of the reasons that captivated me, and it really resonated with what you're putting together here, Stu, with the Military Investment Network. It's a group of collective veterans, like-minded individuals. Like that saying goes, "Birds of feather flocks together." And if you really think about that, so you're creating a support group,
Yeah.
and that support group, it's only good if people are involved, if people are helping and strategically thinking outside the box. I understand that in every type of network that people say, oh man, you know what, this network, I'm part of this network, I'm part of this network. Well, if you're looking at more of a way to be selfishly and say, what am I going to gain out of it? What is it in it for me? But you're just waiting for the tidbits, you're waiting for the golden nugget to say, okay, this is going to be great for me, but you're not really contributing. I think that those networks really turns into something else. And I think what you're doing here with the Military Investment Network, you have there's great members, and I look forward with the membership to create a long lasting of strong connections, but also strategic partnerships. I mean
Mm.
that if I could, we know how the military is, and if we could really think about like, okay, how do we strategically solve this situation? Can we get over is there a bunch of us here? Can we attack it as a group? I think that's what I look for is to help bring knowledge, experience to the playing field and elevate it, right? I mean, that's really what we're looking for is to elevate ourselves. As I mentioned earlier, it's education and that knowledge that you gain and how you apply it, and then stay consistent with it. And I think that's one thing that your this group right here, this networking group, provides that opportunity. And I just ask that if anybody does join, to be proactive, to be engageful, to throw it out there. Don't be afraid. I mean, shit. If you're, I think there's some great guys in there that you have that has their businesses, they're lawyers, they're developers. I mean, you name it. It's a little intimidating. It reminds me back when I was over there in France, like, oh my goodness. But this is where you want to learn. Ask
Yeah.
the questions. Hey, let's go ahead and be engageful. So I really love that. What we're looking for, I think for SB agency, because we focus on residential and commercial and international, it basically, I really want to go ahead and basically share ideas and then see how we could create opportunities together, whether it's through referrals, mentorships, or collaboration. I'm a big believer that the mission is always bigger when we build it as a team.
Yeah.
And if we can build it as a team, that's always going to be a blessing in disguise. We're going to provide it's a win-win situation. And I think that's why I like to be engageful in the group. So what I would look for in our group and anybody who joins is to see if we can create some type of partnership, friendship. Like let's make this happen. Let's all win. let's be successful. And most of all, most importantly, I think our society needs that.
Mm.
Our society needs that more than ever because we left our military careers, but this is an opportunity to bring it back together and let's fight for our society. Let's fight for each other. Let's fight for our communities. Let's think about this. Let's be strategic, not just for our self-worth, but let's do it as a community. And I think our community, our society needs our military members more than ever with our mentality, with our discipline, with our resilience. See, we're able to go ahead and overcome and accomplish anything that's put in front of us. So I think that's what we need to do. And really act as a selfless act. Don't act selfishly, act selflessness. Put the needs of others before your own, have the honor of what we've done and let's fight together. That's what I think what we need here, and that's what we're looking for in SB agency is people to collaborate, people to build, and in residential, commercial, international. International, I tell you what, I'm excited for what we're going to be talking about here in a couple of weeks. It's going to be some great. I want to bring a special guest too to talk about that with some connections that I've done with the development because of the international. So it's just so much information. I know we're going to keep it in 30 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's a lot, right? And it's just hopefully people are it's engageful. But if anybody wants to reach out to us, they could visit our website. I mean, website SB-agency. SB, my last name is Espinoza, so ESPI, and then the hyphen and then agency. The reason we call it SB agency is because my last name Espinoza in the military. Nobody called me Espinoza, they called me SB.
Nice.
So my commanders, if soldiers, SB, SB, SB. So I always had that mentality that if they could trust me, SB on the field, you could trust me watching your back out here. So I want everybody to feel like they have a soldier watching their back at all times.
It's awesome, brother. Well, we'll put your website in the show notes of this episode, and put your LinkedIn account and your socials there too. Appreciate you, brother. It's great to have you, in the community and the network. And man, you're just a blessing to get to know you and be a brother in arms with you.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully, I look forward to meeting the new people that join and continue on collaborating with the people that we currently have. So thank you,
Love it, bro.
Stu, for doing this, man. You're a true blessing, brother.
Absolutely. See ya.